Children of the lie, yeah. Children of the lie, yeah, yeah. Children of the lie, yeah. Children of the lie, yeah, yeah.
I am back with you again about wisdom. If you did not see my first video, Wisdom, What's in a Name, I definitely recommend that you go and check it out. Before you proceed here, we are going to get started on, I think, a little mini series of wisdom. So the first video, prerequisites to obtaining wisdom. So let's get started. Okay, so the prerequisites to wisdom, what are they and how do we get them? So just a little reminder, which wisdom we are seeking out. I am a firm believer that there are two of everything. We know that there is a Messiah and there is an anti-Messiah. We know that there is a knowledge of the Most High and there is a knowledge of the world. So I do believe it goes the same with wisdom. There is a heavenly wisdom and there is a wisdom that is worldly. We are talking about the wisdom that comes from the Most High. So, Proverbs chapter 2 verse 6. For Yahuwah gives wisdom. Out of his mouth come knowledge and understanding. We want to obtain this type of wisdom. And with wisdom comes understanding and knowledge. So, what are we required to do? What is it that wisdom needs us to do or follow through on in order for us to have total access? Let's begin. I'm basically going to be skimming through the first 3 chapters of Proverbs. So go ahead and read them, get it in your spirit, get it in your heart. Start with Proverbs chapter 1, starting at verse 2. It says, for knowing wisdom and discipline, for understanding the words of understanding, for receiving the discipline of wisdom, righteousness, right ruling, and straightness. Why do we need this? Verse 4 says, for giving insight to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. So we're considered simple-minded when we don't have the wisdom of the Most High. We tend to go off of how we feel, what we think is best for us, and I don't know about y'all, but oftentimes it doesn't work out how I think it is. So being simple-minded, we need to graduate from that and become wise. So that word insight, it actually, the definition is craftiness or discretion. And the word discretion, that definition is a device or a purpose. Let's reiterate that. For giving craftiness to the simple, knowledge and device or purpose to the young. So I apply this, or I try to apply this in every aspect. I've been dealing with wisdom. I've had experience with wisdom. I know that it is definitely from the Most High. It's beyond me. The things that have come out of my mouth, the things that I have experienced. Maybe I can get into some of my testimonies later on down the road. But I know for a fact that it is not me working in my own strength when I have applied wisdom appropriately. So what I mean by trying to apply this in every area, it says that knowledge and discretion to the young. I also take that literally in the sense of my children. We are commanded in the word to train up our children in the way that they should go, that they may never depart. Now, the book of Proverbs is written by King Solomon. King Solomon, as we know, was the wisest man to ever live. And we see what happened to him. So when we don't give heed to wisdom, bad things can happen. And so I definitely believe, just like he is teaching us in this book, as simple-minded little children, we are supposed to do the same to our children so that they do not end up in bad situations like Solomon or you or me even. So we definitely need to think, especially with the times that we're in right now. It is imperative to use sound wisdom. People are rioting, wreaking havoc over the the racial injustice or injustices that we have been seeing, and it goes way beyond that. I mean, even with the COVID-19, People are not using common sense. People are not using their wisdom to say all of his laws, his right rulings. Remember Proverbs chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. That we need to receive the discipline of wisdom, righteousness, right ruling, and straightness. So his statutes, his laws, his commandments, they bring about righteousness. They bring right ruling. They bring wisdom when we obey. That word here also means to obey. So when we hear the word of Yah, when we hear his wisdom, don't do this, don't do that. Stay where you are. Go to the left, go to the right. Whatever he is commanding us to do, especially in these times, we need not only to hear, but we need to receive it and ingest and apply. That's why the word says, not only be hearers of the word, but doers as well, lest we deceive ourselves. So not only can we be led astray by others, but we can deceive our own selves if we are not hearing, if we're hearing his wisdom but not applying it, right? So a wise one hears or obeys and increases learning. It goes on to say, let's see here. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 1. Let's touch on that a little bit more. A wise son accepts his father's discipline, but a scoffer shall not listen to rebuke. So we need to be accepting of what the Most High said, like he said in Deuteronomy. Here to do all that I've said, guard my commands, my statutes, my laws, my ways, my right rulings, so on and so forth. He says that all throughout Scripture. But a scoffer shall not listen to rebuke. So Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 23. But this word I did command them, saying, obey my voice, and I shall be your Elohim, and you be my people, and walk in all the ways that I have commanded you, so that it be well with you. So when we obey, when we hear him, not only does it make us wise, but it puts us in a position for submission to the headship, which he then steps into. He said, once I listen to him and obey his voice, then he will be mine. He'll be my Yah. He'll be my Elohim, or as some of you would say, God. And then I will become his. So he steps into the headship as my husband, as my head, the one that is over me. And I position myself into submission by being obedient, by hearing him, which then in return, that makes me wise. We need to realize it goes deeper and deeper as you read more into the word. Not only does it make you wise, it gets you connected to him. It's like a conduit system. You literally align yourself under his headship. Okay, so verse 10, go down to verse 10. It says in Proverbs chapter 1, do not give into the enticement of sin. So how many times have we been enticed to sin? I know that in the past it was ridiculous. I was giving into sin left and right and making justification. That's what we do a lot of times. We are in a world where fastly a lot of evil is going on, a lot of wrong. And there's a lot that people don't even think is wrong. And they're like, oh, we can do that because I'm grown, because that's the way of the world now. Like, Yah knows my heart, or God knows my heart, and all these justifications, all these buts, if, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, justification, all this justification that we have to do what we want. I actually want to recommend to you just a little snippet to go to Truth Unedited on YouTube. And there is a video that he has posted, which really got my mind thinking, where I believe he posed the question, are you a Satanist? And a lot of us would be the first one to be like, no, I don't worship the devil. But when you listen to what he says, the majority of the world are Satanists and don't even realize it. I was a Satanist and didn't realize it. In the sense of, I'm doing what I want to do. I know it's wrong, but because I'm justifying it with whatever excuse I had. When you intentionally sin, He says in Romans, it talks about how there is an enmity with the Most High when it comes to walking in your flesh. When you obey yourself, when you serve yourself, because ultimately that's what we're doing, serving our flesh, it builds a hatred between you and the Most High. So if you're not loving him enough to choose what he told you to do, obeying his voice, being wise in your choices, what happens is you go to the other side where now there's a hatred. So can you say that you're aligned now? Are you in that conduit system? So if you're not for him, you're against him, right? So then if you ain't on his side, whose side are you on? Sounds like Satan. But some of y'all will say that's far-fetched. Some of y'all won't agree. That's fine. I definitely recommend that you go and look at the video so you can get further explanation on that. He did a very good job of depicting what that looks like. And I have to say, I've been guilty of that in my past. I was worshiping Satan, saying or proclaiming that I was still under the fellowship or the rulership of the Most High. No, it's not accurate. And I see that a lot in today's world. So anyway, that's just a little piece. Giving into sin. If you have somebody, look at your environment around you. Is there someone, including yourself, that provokes you to sin? Is there something in your life or someone who causes you to want to sin or to desire to sin? We already have the enemy doing that 24/7. He's going to look for any door, any crack, crevice that he can sneak his craftily behind into to cause you to sin. So when you hear someone say, it's not a sin to do this, or yeah, but y'all knows my heart, or some justification, some reason to do it anyway, even yourself, when you hear that, that's a red flag already. You need to be mindful of that. One of my favorite scriptures, Psalms 1:1. Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the Torah, or the law of Yahuwah. And in his Torah, or his law, he meditates day and night. That is the order. First you're walking with him, then you're standing. They cause you to yield, and then you sit down. Look at your life and think about that. If you begin to walk with them in their ways, in their wicked counsels, you're listening to the enticement, then you begin to stand, almost like you're considering it. You're pausing on that, right? You're standing in the way of them. You're in their way. Now you're getting off the path, right? Because if you were on the right path, you wouldn't be in their way. You're standing in their way, nor do you sit in the seat of the scornful. Now you done thought about it, you paused, and now you done took a seat. Like, that's exactly how it happens. You may fight it, but that's how the enemy works. If he can just get you to think about it, think about doing something that goes against wisdom of the Most High. Something that is, even things that you don't even know are a sin. It doesn't matter that you're unaware. He don't care that you don't know. He still wants you to do it. So think about that. If you are enticed by sin, you're following that same guideline. You are being guided to align yourself with sin. The ability to discern things so that we do not get caught up in being led astray, or the trickery or cleverness of men and their false teachings. It's more than just the teaching of the word. It's the teaching of life. Look at what's around us. Some of y'all might be mad. Feminist movement. They are teaching women that they don't need men. They are teaching women that you can kill your baby because it's your body. They are teaching women that we need to get rid of words like him, her, she, they, even the LGBTQ, they're behind that because they're getting led astray by whoever taught them that. And we know it all stems from the enemy. They're being led astray. And they're causing you who believe it to be led astray. That is not the order of the Most High for a woman not to be with a man or against a man. The man was made first. So what makes you think you can eliminate him? Or what makes you think it's okay to tell a man it's okay to be a woman? Vice versa. I mean, think about these things. There's so much deception, so much false teaching. Even with the protesting and rioting, there are people teaching other people, yes, it's okay to riot. Yes, these are the things that we must do because our ancestors, I mean, don't get me started, Black community, y'all are one of the worst. Well, our ancestors didn't deal with this, or they stood up for our rights. And yeah, but guess what? Every one of our ancestors didn't do it right. And that's not why they lost the battle to the injustice that we experienced. So don't get it twisted. There is an order to things, and there's a way that we have to conduct ourselves in order to be wise. And we historically have not been doing that. And even the times that we have been in order or have acted wisely, the enemy has always allowed someone to come behind that and say good is evil and evil is good. They will point out when you do act wisely that you are the one that is evil and acting unwisely. If I don't go out there and act a fool and protest and break out windows, there is somebody out there to tell me I am not acting wisely and I'm not Black enough and I don't care enough about my people. I know that's going on. I've seen all or the majority of the discussions down my timeline. Even in my own family, there is so much strife and unwise conduct about how we are handling these situations. Is unreal and it's borderline scary. But that's why we have to look to the Word to see how we need to be acting in the midst of all this. So when we begin to give into all that, giving into those ways of sin, because protesting may not be a sin in itself. I'm not saying that at all, but it can lead to sin. Think about it. If peaceful protesting, which I'm not saying everybody that's protesting is out there cutting the rug. Do not take my words out of context. But a lot of us, when there's protesting going on like now, and it's leading to rioting and looting, and you don't even have to steal and be a thief to be considered a sinner. If you are spewing out hatred towards your brother, he says if you say you love me but you hate your brother, then you don't really love me. The truth really ain't in you. There is no light in you. There's many scriptures talking about that. You can't profess your love to the Most High, but you're spewing hatred because your brother doesn't agree with you on the subject. Come on now. Let's think about this. That's giving in to the enticement of sin. So, prerequisite, do not give in to the enticement of sin, and you will be counted as wise. So then let's move forward. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. Do not be led astray. Evil company corrupts good habits. So if you got people around you that are enticing you to sin, get away from them. They will corrupt good habits. They will corrupt the good that is in you, that you do have. I'm a witness to that. Unfortunately, there have been on more than one occasion, I have gotten around the wrong people and thinking that I can still thrive in righteousness, or so I thought that I had at some point, um, thinking that I can continue in righteousness and still be friends with them, hanging out regularly. Um, it didn't cut it. I was very much deceiving myself, and I quickly took on their bad habits. Their evil became my evil. You have to be careful of who you have around you, and yes, that includes family. You have to make sure, no matter what, that you are cutting off temptation. Romans 12:2. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is that good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of Elohim. Again, when we give into the enticement to sin, we are conforming to the ways of the world. We're giving ourselves over to worldly things, and we are not supposed to. Do not become complacent or conformed because mama and them are doing it, or sister, auntie, cousin and him is doing it. Don't do it. But but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. How do you renew your mind? Getting into this word, applying wisdom to your life. So when you remain in this conduit system with the Most High, your source, which is your Father, the head, you will remain in wisdom. Think about it. If you use your faculties, come on, y'all. If we use our hearing and obey His voice, if we attend to wisdom, she says, if you exalt me, she will lift you up. Go back and read chapter 1. For if you cry for discernment, if you ask Him, Father, should I be going to this protest? Is this something that I need to be involving myself in? Because, okay, thank you, Father. The word also talks about how there is a way that seems right to a man, but it leads to his own destruction. So, protesting sounds good. Rioting, well, not rioting, I'm not going to be a part of that, but the protesting part sounds good. Yeah, I'm standing up for justice and doing all that, but for me, is that something I should be doing? Let me look at this. Let me look back. Okay, they look peaceful and all that, but this part over here, they're stealing. They're doing this, they're doing that. Is that something that I would get caught up in doing? We have to talk to ourselves like this, y'all. I mean, I might sound like I'm making light of it a little bit, but I'm not. For real, this is how we have to talk to each other. Just because it's okay for Keisha to go, don't mean it's okay for you to go. Because Keisha she might be on a spiritually mature level where she's able to keep herself aligned with the Most High that entire time. But you, on the other hand, might not be ready. You might not be about that life just yet. You can't just go because you think it's right and it looks good to you. I mean, who does that remind me of? Eve. She looked at that tree and she saw that the fruit was good. She knew darn well she wasn't supposed to touch that fruit. But what she do? She did it anyway. And what happened? We all still paying the consequences for Eve. Okay? So think about it again. Let's go back. Forgiving insight to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. Especially if you got a child. Eve, your consequences can affect your children. It's real. That's word. That's truth. I have to think like that now. Okay, what is this going to do for my kids if I act like this? Yeah, they did me wrong. Yeah, they killed my boy. But what am I teaching my children based on my reaction to this? Now, please, y'all, hear me when I say this. I'm not saying you can never react. I'm not saying you can never go and do anything. I'm saying check with your father first. I'm saying weigh out the matter. Use wisdom. Make sure that there is wise counsel being checked for. If you just running off at the mouth and you hastily run into evil, that's one of the things our Father hates. Feet that are quick to run to evil. Please make sure that you are not being led astray because you think something is good. It is good in your own eyes. Do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways, direct them to me so that I establish your path. That's what our Father says to us. We need to think about these things. So, hearing or obeying, increasing your learning. Do not give into the enticement of sin. We need to do these things to obtain the spirit of wisdom. I ask you, are you meeting the prereqs of wisdom to obtain her? If not, get on it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it gave a little insight. You got this. Lift your voice up for wisdom. And for that, I will say, much shalom. I love y'all. And stay tuned for the mini-series. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever you feel led to do. And I will see you on the next video. Much shalom.
It'll never work like Stevie and Mimi. Y'all don't get it. Reality TV. And if you don't, then I understand. Cause on the other hand, yeah, I barely watch TV. Meditating so the angels could reach me. Frequencies like a satellite TV. Discern the spirit so I analyze.